think the one thing that I enjoy the most out of having my own store is that connection that we have with customers.
When you were at the bigger corporate jobs that you missed being customer facing. So that's fabulous.
When I hire new people and I'm training people, I explain to all of them, we help everyone that comes in the door.
This episode of Main Street Matters is brought to you by Wood Underwear, Marchesi Ginfrati Neckwear, and Inspiro Tequila. I'm your host, Terresa Zimmerman.
Hello, welcome to Main Street Matters. I am so happy to be here with Jaime Weisbrot, the owner, founder, proprietor, all the things from Phineas Gage, the men's clothing store in West Chester, Pennsylvania. Welcome, Jaime.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I would love to start out with you just telling us a little bit about Phineas Gage.
Sure. So we are an all men's store in West Chester, Pennsylvania. We're probably about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Philly, for reference. We're contemporary casual men's store, so we carry brands like Johnny O, Mizzen & Main, Faherty, dressier brands like Bonobos and Rod & Gun. I like to say we're like kind of the small store version of the Nordstroms, if you were to compare us to a department store.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and, we'll carry all these brands and some other like nice denim brands, Frame, AG, and Wood Underwear.
Love it. Love the plug. Always love the plug. And how long has Phineas Gage been around? How did it get started?
Sure. So we're actually celebrating 8 years this September. I opened the store in September of 2016. It was the first retail store I've ever opened, but I have a lot of background in retail and in visual merchandising. There's one other men's store in our town that does some dressier clothing, but nothing to compare to many of the women's boutiques in our town. So I just felt like we needed a men's boutique that was a great place for guys to be able to not only shop, but like hang out and feel comfortable, almost like a men's lounge vibe. And, there wasn't a place for guys that could get their weekend wear, their denim, their casual wear, their golf wear all in one place. So I saw the need for it, and I felt like we needed to open something like that here.
I read somewhere, I think it's on your website, that you had always dreamed of opening a men's store. How do you always dream of opening a men's store?
That might just be a little flib on the
okay. But I mean, I always wanted to get into men's underwear, but that's a whole other story.
So I had always been interested in fashion. When I was a kid, I'd be, sketching out designs and on papers and, always more of like an art interest and fashion interest. And I went to school at Drexel for design and merchandising. I realized early on that the actual design process was not for me, like the sewing, the pattern making, that was not something I was interested in. But the business I was definitely interested in. And I had a lot of great like mentors that kind of led me along the way. I had an internship with the North Face doing sales. So on the wholesale side, doing their sales. And then, after school, college, I worked at Bloomingdale's. I had an amazing manager there that kind of introduced me to clienteling and how to work with customers. And, that was very interesting. I was in the men's department. I was in the men's polo department. So I learned a lot about like, teaching guys about fits and, just that knowledge and helping them find styles and putting outfits together. That was always fun. But then I was burnt out from that retail because it's big box retail and it's very different than small business retail. And then I went on and worked at Lacoste doing visual merchandising. So again, in the wholesale side of things, I had the big box stores again. So I was in Macy's, Bloomingdale's, Lord & Taylor, and I had a team of merchandisers that I managed along the East Coast. And we kind of kept tabs on the Lacoste shops and stores. But then we also did the showrooms in New York for the sales meetings. And we traveled around the country and opened up little shop-in-shops for Lacoste. And again, they brought me up to New York for a few years. I lived up there for 2 years doing that. Then I got burnt out and I was like, this is not fun anymore. You know what I mean? And I missed the interaction that you have with customers because I wasn't really doing that. I was just doing the visual aspect of things. So I moved back here to Westchester, and after I got married, I was like, I think this is really what I want to do. I saw this need for a cute men's clothing store in this cute town that we have. And luckily, people have responded well to it. It's been going great.
It sounds like you've had a blast in your career.
Yeah. I mean, there's
All the visual
obviously
merchandising people, there's so many people I know that, that's their dream.
It was fun. And I was thrilled to, be able to have that opportunity. And I did it for about 4 years. And, but there were times when I was in, Bloomingdale's loading docks, and I'm like, why am I here? This isn't fun.
now you can be in your own back storeroom and say, why am I here?
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Or like in the Macy's stockroom at, 1 a.m. because you have to get the floor move done before the store opens. And it was like, so it's not quite as glamorous as the title sounds,
right.
But I learned a lot. And a big part of what I learned in visual merchandising is that I wanted a men's store that felt more designed with purpose to look like a men's store. Everything was thought out, from the fixtures to the decor. I wanted to feel more like a men's lounge and not like just racks on the wall of clothes. I learned a lot about visual merchandising through them, and when you're, merchandising the product that it comes in, how to put things together, and how to lay things out on a table so that they look, this shirt could go with these pants, but then these pants could also go with this shirt, and kind of making outfits for guys.
You've had a wealth of experience, and you've brought some of that visual merchandising to bear for your store. But what of that did you bring? What of that's working? What of that or it is special about Phineas Gage that you specifically have made happen?
Okay. Yeah. So a big thing when you come into the shop is for like our bigger brands, I try to keep them merchandised together because, I've learned through the past and like through just our own store that people sometimes come in for a specific brand. So it's kind of easier to try to keep the brands together. Sometimes with the bigger ones, those are the ones you have to keep together. So when you come in, the store is set up that, in certain sections are different brands. And each rack is purposely merchandised so that, again, you might have a shirt, like a woven, a long sleeve button down or short sleeve. Behind that could be a t-shirt, and you would wear those together. And then behind that is the shorts that you would wear it with. And then behind that is another shirt you could wear back to those shorts. And it's all, merchandised by color so that the colors work together. It's not like you have this random black shirt in here next to a red shirt, and it, kind of looks like it wasn't thought out. So I've brought that in. And then again, different folding techniques on the tables or different interesting ways to hang pants. We have this one way that I learned when I was merchandising at Lacrosse to like hang pants over a shirt hanger, and people just like come in and are like, this is great. Like, who would have thought of this? And I'm like, well,
how do you hang pants over a shirt hanger?
I feel like I have to show you.
Maybe.
I don't have any. Do you want me to show you?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So different. So we just have like a casual pair of pants here.
Okay.
And you could go either way. You could go this way, or you could flip them the other way. And you just, hang the pants over like this, and the other pant like this. So that when they're hanging on a rack, they're like this. So then the front is sticking out. Of the rack, it would be like this. And I use this in our racks that aren't long enough to hang them vertically. And, it also
fascinating. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's something I learned from, one of our managers at Lacoste, so I can't take credit for it. But it saves space. It also adds like a little bit of like texture or a different element when you see like a whole rack of shirts hanging. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to differentiate. So it's like you put those in and it breaks things up a little bit.
Well, and you can make outfits that look well, not uniform, but you can make outfits
Yeah.
along a rack like you've got in the back that
Yes.
are all on the same hanger. So yeah, I get
Yeah.
that it's
You,
very clean and very
it's inviting. You want it to be interesting. You want people to gravitate toward it. And, you know, we help everyone that comes into the store anyway, but in the event that I'm not there or like, they're shopping on their own, obviously they can do that as well. You know, they can kind of figure out that things are kind of merchandised a certain way. I've had guys compare shopping with us to like Granimals because it's like, well, they understand that, they wear this shirt with these pants
right.
and this jacket or sweater or something. And that's
Yeah.
always stuck with me. I thought it was funny.
Yeah. It's true though. And it's not just for men. I mean, it's so helpful when you have an entire outfit together. Can't tell you how many times I've gone into a store and I'm like, oh my God, that pair of pants or that shirt's really cute. And then I've got nothing to wear with it because it wasn't right there.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes we'll have customers like we have a local news anchor that comes in and we have a little partnership with him but he also is a great customer and we'll put things together and take pictures of it and text it to him so that he knows what to wear together.
It's a great service.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. So what's your favorite thing about having your own store?
I think the freedom to kind of be able to run it how I want to and, use all the past experience that I have and whether it be in training staff or, dealing with customers is, I enjoy being able to kind of put my own spin on things. And obviously the freedom of being like, well, we're not going to be open the day after Christmas because everybody needs a break.
Right.
And we have great customers and, they understand that. And so, yeah, I think that, and I think the one thing that I enjoy the most out of having my own store is that connection that we have with customers. We're a big town, but a small town, and then there's so many connections you make just through conversations. They know my family or we know similar people. I went to high school with their daughter or something like that. It's kind of building those connections is really fun. And then obviously building outfits for people is a lot of fun. And I really enjoy finding what works for people and them being excited about it.
Yeah, well, you said when you were at the bigger corporate jobs that you missed being customer facing, so
Yeah.
that's fabulous.
Yeah. So, because it was, when you're doing the visual merchandising in a Bloomingdale's 59th Street, you're not really connecting with the tourists or, the people
Right.
coming in and out all the time.
Yeah. What do you think your customers would say is special about Phineas Gage?
I think they like the fact that our assortment really kind of covers all of their needs. And a lot of people love to say that they can come here and not drive the 25-30 minutes to King of Prussia Mall because we carry what they need here. And the customer service, I think, is another big thing. It's a big thing for me, and it's a big thing when I hire new people and I'm training people. I explain to all of them, we help everyone that comes in the door. Sure, there's people that aren't going to want necessarily help, but in some way or another, we know the brands, we know the fits, and we're gonna make sure that we find the best thing for you and or the best gift for your son or husband. So I think people would say the customer service too.
You've mentioned training a couple of times. So how do you train people? I mean, how do you find training people?
I would say I don't have like a real set, agenda, but with every new person, I have a store manager right now that's full time and she's amazing and she's been with me for almost 2 years now. but there's, we start a little bit at a time. So the first couple weeks, they're just kind of learning. They're learning about our customer. They're learning about our brands. I encourage everyone in the downtime, because everyone knows there's downtime in retail, to go in and research the brands, learn about the fits, learn about the products, learn about the fabrics, and what makes each brand special, because each brand has its own story. And that's one of the ways we kind of connect with those brands. So learning all about the store and the product is usually like the first step, and then obviously the register and stuff like that, and then just them kind of shadowing myself and learning how you clientele and how you work with customers and find out what questions to ask and what needs they have, and then because the brand, you can give them the right product. You can put them in the fitting room to try a few things that, you think might fit or might work. 'Cause I think one of the biggest turnoffs for customers is when they go in and pick a couple things and go try them on and nothing fits right, and then they get discouraged and leave because they don't think anything in the store fits. And it's like, well, no, it's not that. We just need to pick the right brands, because every brand has a certain fit and style. So I think a big part of the training is the knowledge, and then obviously learning about working with your customers if you don't have a lot of retail experience, going through that whole process.
Do your staff tend to come from locals, so they also kind of are part of the community already?
Sometimes I've kind of, sometimes we have some college students. We've done Drexel co-ops before. So we'll have students come in for 6 months and do it. When we're hiring positions, like a full-time position, we'll post that. But they're usually within like a local town. We're Westchester. We've had some very local people that have worked for us briefly and or for years at a time. And, they know a lot of people as well. So it's kind of a range.
Right, right. What other tools or techniques or processes do you have that you rely on to run your business?
So, well, obviously we have our POS system, which we use. It's called Heartland. And, we started with them years ago, and I forget the name of them. But it's a retail based POS system, which was big for us because it was really important for us to be able to track our inventory, how much customers are spending and what we did last year versus this year. Whereas sometimes these other big POS systems could do restaurants or retail, but this one felt more focused on retail.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it's a big tool. We keep track of our customers, and we can go back and look at what sizes they bought in their past transactions, or even so much as like, oh, you bought that sweater last year in this color, so you need this color this year. And a lot of customers rely on us to do that, especially when they're buying gifts. We just recently started with a loyalty program, which is new for us. So we'll see
Okay.
how that works out. I can't give any feedback quite on that. We just started about a month ago. But that's a good way for us to give back in terms of loyalty points. So once they spend a certain amount, I can go back and say, okay, you spent this much, and here's a $50 credit towards your next purchase, and use it on anything you want. And it sends text messages when they get their points, or for birthdays, we can offer a discount for that. So we're excited for that. And then we're also using, we do have a website. So we do sell online through Shopify. It's not a big focus of mine because I so much enjoy that personal interaction. But I feel like in today's economy, it kind of has to be an option for people because,
Right.
We do have customers locally that will use it and go shop online to pick up in store, or, shop online while they're away and then pick it up later, or we can ship it to their house. So it's definitely a good tool for us, but it's just not really a focus.
Yeah, sounds like it's more of a service aspect.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's beneficial, but again,
Okay.
my main bread and butter is I want to work face to face with people. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of how you're most successful.
So, what prompted you to start the loyalty program now?
Well, they first approached me about it. I think like we were like 2 years in. And at the time I was just like, I don't even think I need that. Like I just, I didn't, it was too much. We're still figuring out all our systems. But now at this point, we've have a lot of loyal customers and it's, I want to be able to give back to them in a way that makes, you know, is special to those customers that have been with us for so long. So, that was a big part of starting it now is that we have such a bigger customer base and we have so many people that have been with us, for the past 8 years. So it's kind of a nice way to be able to recognize that.
Yeah, sounds like a nice big thank you.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and going into holiday too.
Yes, they'll be able to get their points very quickly
Yeah,
as
good,
we
good,
get into the
good.
holiday season.
So we talked about what you love. What are your biggest challenges?
Hmm.
What maybe don't you love?
Sometimes staffing can be, one of the things I love. Like I said, I have some great people that have been with me for a while, but sometimes you need those extra hands. And, going through that process can always be hard because the store is small and it's a big part of me. And people come in and, they know me and they know it's, the store that been. So it's almost like it's not like you can just hire anybody. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more of a vetting process. So
Right.
it feels more personal sometimes.
Mhm.
But we've been really lucky and have had a really great team of people that have, come through and worked for the time and moved on. But yeah, so that's definitely a part. And then the website too can be a bit of a challenge. Like I said, we do our best work face to face. So sometimes when people are shopping online and, you know, expecting more of like a big box experience, with the returns and stuff like that, that could be a little bit more difficult to handle
Right.
just because we are a small business. So it's not like anybody's covering the expenses for us either.
Right. Yeah, a return is costly.
Yeah. And it's, so sometimes, those can be the more challenging parts of a retail store, but
With the staffing, you mentioned earlier that you have a tie-in with Drexel students. Sometimes is that a formal tie-in to the school? Is that because of your alumni connection?
well, partially, it's actually open to any employer though that has wants to offer be involved in their co-op program.
Oh, cool.
But that's I knew about it from going there myself, and I do have still have a relationship with some of the old professors and stuff. I'm actually on one of their boards, for the fashion program, but yeah, it's really open to any business that wants to kind of take advantage of it. So I really enjoy it because we've had some really great students come through, and it's nice to know this is a field they're interested in, and this is a path they're interested in. So they're already knowledgeable on the field of fashion and retail. But you can kind of really dive into it more, and um, they're eager to help. They're also really great on the computer, so we can,
Yeah.
they help a lot with our marketing. Using the different apps and social media, and kind of keeping us a little bit more up to date on.
I think they were born with all of that implanted in their brains.
Exactly, it came through the
Yeah.
womb. So.
Yeah, right.
So it's been really nice experience, and we've been really lucky with a lot of great co-ops to come through.
That's cool. So, what else? What other kinds of roles do you play in your community? I mean, it sounds like well. First of all, how far is Drexel from you?
We're about like it's in Philly, so
Oh,
like
okay.
45 minutes to an hour. So
Okay. All right.
a lot of them, they might be originally from the area or surrounding suburb, so they could live at home during their co-op because it's 6 months that they're working, and
Mhm.
they could work up to 5 days a week. That's just the co-op program. We usually do more part-time.
Yeah.
But so we are involved with that and, try to get people to come out and work with us that way. Other community events. I mean, we do a lot of like pop-up shops for different charity events, fashion shows, where we'll bring a portion of the product to um, an event and have a table and set up and rolling racks, and then we donate a portion of our proceeds back to the charity or the cause. And those are always fun. And we have a good time doing it. It gets us out of the store. We meet new people, and it's nice to be involved in those things.
How do you decide what of those to get involved with? Is there a filtering process, or kind of it's an easy decision because you're clear?
Yeah, a couple of them we've done every year. So we're kind of loyal to going back, and they're enjoyable events. Typically there's not a lot of men's stores, so we're kind of,
Right.
we tend to get high demand, or because there's not a lot of men's stores that will get involved in the fashion show. I will say, for me to be most profitable, sometimes it depends on the time of year, because if it's around the holiday season, people are going to shop more for men versus, some
Right.
some events, they're just not really thinking about what their husband needs or at that time. So
Right. Easier to say no thank you to.
yeah, or we've done them and maybe they just didn't work for us, or, I'd rather donate a gift card to their raffle or something like that. So, you definitely have to weigh the pros and cons on it, because we're happy to participate in a way we can. But sometimes, if it's an all day thing, taking the product out of the store and staffing 2 events, the store and the event can add up. So you have to kind of be smart about where you're doing it, what time of year you're doing it, and then, would it be better if we just made a donation, for a raffle?
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you about the name Phineas Gage. I think you have a little story on your website, but maybe you can talk to us about it.
So yes, the story, we kind of made a little story on there as well, but it's not 100% incorrect. It's just when I was first looking up names for the store, I wanted to try to tie it back into Westchester's heritage. It's, a very old town, and there's a lot of history here. And his name popped up on this website, and I was read that he was like the first tavern rights owner in Westchester. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I'm asking my husband, telling my husband about his name. He goes, yeah, he's the guy with the rod that went through his head. And then I did a little more research, and true to the internet, it was incorrect. But the Westchester tie-in was incorrect. It was a different Phineas. It was a different Phineas that had the first tavern rights. But at that time, I was like, I really like his name, and I love the story of, having the rod go through his head. And he's the first study of the left lobe of your brain and how it affects your personality. So we tweaked it a little bit and said, you leave here with a great new personality and some great new clothes.
Love it.
And we wanted to work the rod into the logo, and so I guess you could say it was a happy mistake how we kind of came across the name.
So Westchester has co-opted him as Westchester, PA has co-opted him as theirs, or at least in your store.
Yes.
Which Westchester is he from? Do you remember?
He's not from a Westchester. He's from up north in Vermont or Maine. It was, the guy's name was Phineas Gage.
Oh, gotcha. Phineas Gage.
Yes. Cool. But I was like, Phineas Gage, that doesn't really run off the tongue as well as Phineas Gage does.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. So how do you decide what's next? How do you stay on trend for your customers and, the people you serve?
Yeah. A lot of it's listening to customers, finding brands that they might be asking for and seeing if that could be like a good fit for us. What brands are starting to kind of, if they've changed their product or they've changed their fit, guys are very loyal customers. So when they know something fits, they want that same thing in multiple colors because it just is easy for them. So when that starts to change, if the brand has decided to go to a different manufacturer, sometimes there's no change, but sometimes there is a change. And then you start to hear it from the customers. Oh, I don't like that anymore. Or
Mm.
it's starting to do this and the product isn't going so great. So a lot of it's just listening to what our customers are saying. You can also see it in our numbers, if something's not selling or one brand is having a higher returns. And, we kind of are just keeping aware of that. It's in conversation every month. We go over what's working, what's not working. But yeah, I think also being aware of what customers are asking for and
Mm-hmm.
trying to bring, new brands in and people try new styles. So kind of always evolving.
And how do you decide to bring new brands in versus kind of your tried and true? How do you do that? How do you find them?
Sometimes it's looking for what we're missing. It could be a price point that we're missing. It could be a style that we're missing. And then, again, talking to our customers about, what where they're getting it, what brands they're seeing, and then going in and kind of doing the research ourselves and seeing them, and then going to these trade shows and seeing the product in person. Sometimes you could just be walking by a booth and say, "Oh, that looks good.
Mhm.
Let's check it out." We might not buy it, but you might. So it's, just kind of looking at where we have holes and where we could kind of grow certain businesses or grow different classifications, and how can we do that, whether it be like sports apparel or our dressier stuff, our suiting and sport coats.
Yeah, so it's great that your customers are coming in with those ideas for you.
Yes, we'll have a lot of people come in and be like, "Oh, have you heard of this brand? You should carry this brand," or "Have you heard of this one?" So, we don't can't do everything. I can't
Yeah.
carry every brand, but if if I consistently am hearing it, it's kind of like, well, maybe you should look into it because they're going to go
Yeah.
get it somewhere
Yeah.
else.
No, for sure, for sure. You got to pay
Yeah,
attention.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Well, and if you think about, the next few years, you've been in business for 8 years now, Jamie, that's an amazing accomplishment. So, what are you looking forward to in the next 8 years and how are you prepping for it now?
I think we're looking to, kind of just keep expanding our customer base and still reaching people. I mean, marketing to men is very different than a marketing to women. And, trying to figure out how are we reaching them. A lot of times it's through the wives and girlfriends, and then sometimes it's through events, or it could be, but I think our best thing is reaching people through word of mouth because,
Yeah.
they pass on their exciting new store they found. But that's kind of just a ongoing challenge, is kind of still reaching people outside of Westchester too. And then getting guys to come in, because I'm sure guys aren't always want to shop. So getting them into the store is a challenge sometimes. But also, on the other end of that, apparel challenges is, finding new brands and in the price points that work for our customers. Is definitely something we're always looking into doing, and looking to kind of just so that, not all the denim is over $200. We'd like to find, brands that are still quality, but not, quite as a high price point. So those are just some of the challenges. The other one is I'd like to get more into custom suiting. It's not something we've done a lot with, but we've been in talks with a brand about, or a company about doing, a custom suiting event and seeing how that would work for us. There we do have a lot of people that still wear suits. There's a big courthouse in our town and a lot of lawyers here. So, kind of tapping more into that customer base, it would be nice, because some people are very loyal to whoever they get their custom shirts and suits from. So, seeing how that could possibly tie into our business would be nice.
Wow, cool. Yeah, that's a great departure or extension, I guess I should say. A great
Yeah.
extension from who you are. Yeah. When you talk about marketing to men being different from women, I mean, I think I can get it, but maybe you want to specify a little bit about how
Well,
you see it's different.
you can't really like group them all together. You can't be like, oh, they found us on Instagram because not all guys go on Instagram. We're not gonna go on TikTok 'cause I don't really think that's our customer base. But is it through the golf courses? Is it through magazine ads? Is it through newspaper? How are they finding us other than word of mouth? And so I just feel like I'm still constantly trying to figure that out. I have 5 brothers and obviously my husband, so I have a lot of feedback that they'll give me, "Oh, you should be doing this. You should be doing this." And
Oh
you
my
know,
gosh, yes.
but I do think one of the best ways to market to guys is through, you know, word of mouth or, being able to kind of find a connection is the networking, I guess would be a better word of saying it.
Right, right. And so aside from your immediate family, where I'm sure you get a ton of
Mhm,
input,
mhm, mhm.
um, like with most of us, maybe some of it not always asked for, but
Yeah.
um, how else are you gathering or planning to gather that input? I mean, are you doing surveys? Are you asking your customers, or is there anything more kind of concrete you're doing around that?
Not quite. I probably should be doing more, but
Not yet.
not yet. We're still trying to kind of we're just more testing the waters,
Yeah.
deciding to maybe advertise with a bigger publication such as Philly
Hmm.
Mag or Mainline Today, which are big magazine, or just doing more events, donating to more golf outings, or kind of just testing the waters that way, I guess, and seeing what kind of we're hearing. Oh, where did you see us? If you're new,
Do
what
you do advertising currently?
we do. There's a local magazine we do it
Mhm.
in. You know, we've done other local magazines. I've never done the big ones before. They're just quite the investment. And then obviously we have our social media that kind of we work on every day. And again, my manager's younger and she's great at quickly getting things up there, and um, so that seems to still reach a lot of people as well.
You talked about your ties with Drexel, and I'm jumping around a bit here. Sorry, but it's something I didn't want to leave without asking you. Your ties with Drexel and some professors still. I mean, do you tap into them for advice, or where else do you go to for advice, or even just a sounding board? Because sometimes running your own company, you don't really have. You
Yeah,
can talk to your younger staff about what to do
yeah,
on social media, but what about your business?
yeah. Not. I mean, I guess I probably should tap into my Drexel professors more. But I think actually it's more Westchester has a great community of business owners, and a
Yeah.
lot of them have been there forever. And although a lot of them are women based retailers, it's still good to talk about what's kind of working for them, sharing information about, again, this loyalty program. I know a couple of the other retailers in town are using it and are really
Cool.
happy with it. So having that relationship outside of our town, I do work with a consultant who we work with. Like they give us our reports at the end of the month. We go over, every class and how much we should be spending. And, that is very helpful to me because although I own a business, I don't love the numbers aspect of it,
Mm,
and just having something concrete to look at. But the consultant, she's also become a great mentor, and being able to talk to her about what we're seeing in the store and what is she seeing because she's in Boston. What is she seeing with
right.
her other businesses that she works with. So what kind of prices should we be paying for these programs. And she's definitely a really good source for me, particularly because I don't have a business partner. Again, I don't have somebody to kind of push things back and forth with, so she probably does more than what she's supposed to, but she's been a great relationship to me.
Sounds like it's helpful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Well, is there anything that we haven't covered off that you wanted to cover off?
I think the biggest thing for me, takeaway from like Phineas Gage, that I want people to know is that, not only do we sell great quality products, but our customer service is something that we really pride ourselves on. And it's something that was important for me from the beginning, with opening the store, was going into a retail store and being helped and not just wandering aimlessly around by yourself. I find so much of that when I go into these bigger stores where you're just like, I need some help and there's no one to help you. I want that to be a very different experience in our store, and that's the reason I want people to keep coming back, is because of the relationships they formed with not just myself, but just everyone in the store as well.
Sounds like that's your passion for sure. Yeah. Cool. Well, I have one more question for you, and that is, I ask everybody, why does Main Street matter?
Main Street matters because it keeps our town running and alive, and it makes such a big difference in the real estate of our area. Like, we are such a destination for people, and this area is just thriving with people that want to live out here or move out here. We have a college nearby, but that doesn't run the town. The stores and the people run the town, and people like to stroll through Westchester and go into the boutiques and going into the restaurants. And I hear it all the time. People are just so excited that we're still here, because restaurants and stores don't always make it in these smaller towns. And that makes me proud to be able to kind of still be there and still helping people. So it's funny. My dad is from this area originally, and he told me that, back when the mall that was near here first opened, it just killed all of the business in Westchester, and all of these small boutiques closed. And now recently that whole mall is shut down, and all of these little boutiques in Westchester are just doing so much better and thriving. And we're constantly seeing new stores and new restaurants popping up. And it's just exciting to see and to be a part of that change and kind of reinventing the town.
That's amazing. I love to hear that. Love.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being on, Jamie.
Thank you, Teresa. So good to have you on.
Thank you for tuning in to Main Street Matters. I hope you found today's episode insightful and inspiring. I'd love it if you would share Main Street Matters with fellow retail owners or anyone else who loves Main Street. And please subscribe so you know when the next episode drops.